Hello bookworms! Today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag, so we're going to talk about all of the books that I have kind of read so far this year, wrap some of them up, give you a little perspective into my reading year, how I've been doing so far, and this is going to replace the quarterly wrap-up that I did at the end of the first quarter, since I feel like this is pretty comprehensive. Also, just bear with me because my throat is a little bit sore. I have a tiny bit of a cold, nothing serious, it should be gone in a day or two, but that's why my voice might sound slightly off. But before I get into the tag questions, first I'm going to talk about this video's sponsor, which is Bokksu. I've done a couple of videos now talking about Bokksu. It's a Japanese subscription box that sends you snacks each month, straight from Japan. I love it. I've had a subscription for over a year, and I definitely foresee myself continuing on with Bokksu because it's honestly that good. First, before I say anything else, I just want to let you know a really exciting change. So for the rest of the month of June, they actually changed my code so that you can get 20% off instead of 10% off, which is an amazing deal. So if you were kind of on the fence about Bokksu in the past, now is probably a good time to get it because you'll be getting a bigger discount. So my new code would be MerrilyKristen20 so that you can get 20% off of your first Bokksu. Trust me when I tell you that you will want to take advantage of this offer. So there is a different theme each month, and Bokksu will send you a booklet that shows you a map of Japan so you know exactly where your snacks are coming from. Some of the snacks are made from companies that are over 100 years old. There are a lot of traditional Japanese snacks, and I really like that they give you information about all of them. They really create a whole atmosphere with each box. So this month's theme was Bokksu Birthday. The box that I have here is not as neatly packaged as I've shown you in the past because Andrew and I already started eating this one because we just couldn't wait. We've been going away a lot of weekends recently to visit family, and we haven't had as much time for food shopping. So we've had some dinner, and then we're we can't wait to break into this Bokksu. But I mean, even still, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. Okay, so my favorite thing that I ate this month was the Shinshu Apple Rabbit Manju. It was so good. It was shaped like a little rabbit. It was so cute. I almost couldn't eat it because I was this is adorable, but then I did eat it and I was okay, this is amazing. It was kind of a little pastry with an apple flavored white bean paste, and it was so good. And then we also loved these Happy Turn rice crackers. You can see I actually put a star next to them because that's how I keep track of what we the snacks that we really like. So we opened one bag of these and we were let's share these. And then we were both these are so good. So then we just immediately opened the second bag and shared those two. And then we were really sad when they were gone. But yeah, if you have any questions about Bokksu, feel free to leave them down below because like I said, I've been getting it for over a year and I feel pretty well versed in it. So again, if you want to order your own Bokksu, I'm going to have a link down below to use in order to get to the Bokksu website, and you can use my code, which for the month of June is MerrilyKristen20, which will give you 20% off of your first order instead of the usual 10% off. So thank you again to Bokksu for sponsoring, and now I'm gonna get on into the tag questions. I'm also gonna leave a link down below to the original creators of this tag so you can go and check out their channels, but now on to the questions. So the first one is, what's the best book that you've read so far in 2021? And I obviously needed two answers because I can never just answer with one. So my favorite fiction read is Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare, which I'm sure comes as no surprise to anybody. I talked about this book so extensively in earlier videos this year. I just loved it from start to finish. It was the perfect second installment and I cannot wait for the next book. And then my favorite nonfiction read is The Answer Is by Alex Trebek. This is Alex Trebek's memoir. Again, it's a book that I've talked about extensively, but I just have such a nostalgic connection to Alex Trebek because of Jeopardy, and it just reminds me of so many amazing times that I've had with my family, and I just really loved hearing all about Alex's life and all of the things about him that I didn't know outside of his time being the host of Jeopardy, and I really loved the narration. I thought it was just excellent. So I guess I should have looked at questions ahead, but I wanted to kind of answer things on the fly so that you guys were getting my genuine impulses. But the second question is the best sequel that you've read in 2021. So this is obviously the answer for that question. I have nothing more to say. The next question is a new release that you haven't read yet, but you want to. So for this, I'm going to go with one that has already been released that I haven't gotten to yet. And that is Finlay Donovan is Killing It by Elle Cosimano. I am so excited to read this book. I'm actually thinking that I'm probably going to read it within the next 2 weeks if I had to guess, but I've been wanting to read this one. It's been on my radar since before it came out and I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So this is 100% my answer. Next is my most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I'm probably forgetting some other things that haven't come out yet, but the first book that came to mind is Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. This is her next book, and I just loved Sorcery of Thorns, and yeah, I cannot wait to read this one. I think this is probably my most anticipated of the second half of the year. I'm going through my Goodreads new release shelf in my mind, and that's definitely the one that's standing out to me the most. Next is Biggest Disappointment, and that would probably be The Lady Upstairs by Hallie Sutton. This was a thriller that I read, and I had really high hopes for it. It sounded really great because it was a woman who is taking down men in power, and it was just so boring. I did not like it. Next question is Biggest Surprise, and since it doesn't say to pick a specific book for the biggest surprise, I'm actually going to put my own spin on this one and say that the biggest surprise in my reading year so far has been that nonfiction and translated fiction seem to be my favorites. They seem to be what I'm really drawn to. They seem to be what I'm enjoying most. I feel like I haven't really read much fantasy this year, which is so unusual for me. And then the past couple of months, I've also read significantly less than I have in years past and months past. And I'm sure that will change. I think I'm just in one of those seasons of life where I just don't have as much time or as much of an attention span for reading, but I feel like it's turning around. So those three things are the big surprises of my reading year. Next is your favorite new author. It can either be a debut author or an author that's new to you. So I'm picking an author that is new to me, and that is Rachel Lynn Solomon. I loved The X Talk. I thought it was so good, and I cannot wait for her next adult romance book. I think it's coming out in January of next year. I think it's called Weather Girl, and the cover is so cute with the little rain boots on it. Love it. I loved her writing. It just really spoke to me, and I'm glad that Rachel Lynn Solomon has such a backlist, though I think the rest of her titles are all YA, so I'm not sure how much I will connect with those. But she's definitely a new favorite for me when it comes to adult romance. Next is Newest Fictional Crush, and I definitely don't have any new fictional crushes, but I can tell you that I just continue to love the entire cast of characters in Chain of Iron, so there's that. Next is Newest Favorite Character. So for that, I have to go with Eva Evergreen, the Semi-Magical Witch. I really love Eva. She is just so inspiring, and I really like how she just really wants to help people. She's such a wholesome character, and she just wants to be a witch and just wants to do good in the world, and no matter how much people put her down, she still retains her optimism and still does whatever she can to help people. She's just a good soul, and I love her. The next question is a book that made you cry, and honestly the answer is so many because I just cry all the time, but one that I haven't actually talked about in a wrap-up yet is Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. I just read this book in June, and wow, it certainly packed an emotional punch. This was all about Michelle's experience with her mother, and she chronicles what it was like for her when her mother got sick, and there were so many things that I just related to in it, the kinds of things that you do for someone that you love when they're sick, things that you never thought that you would find yourself doing. And it was a really tough read because I just went through a lot of this stuff, but it was also weirdly comforting because it can feel like you're so alone when you're going through something like that, but then to find that someone had similar experiences, it kind of just makes you feel not as alone, if that makes sense. Next is a book that made you happy, and I'm gonna share 2 answers for this one again. So first I have to mention Unlocked by Shannon Messenger. You guys know how much I love the Keeper series, and while this book was largely not new material, like it was kind of an encyclopedia of the world, there was like a small portion of it at the back that was new, the novella, but regardless, I just love this cast of characters so much, and just being in the Keeper world for like any period of time makes me happy, whether it's new material or old material. And then the other one I have to mention is I Am C-3PO by Anthony Daniels. This was Anthony Daniels' memoir, and it just like chronicled all of his time throughout the entirety of the Skywalker saga, all of his experiences starting back with A New Hope and going right through Rise of Skywalker. It was humorous. It was so well told. I loved listening to it on audio. I love Anthony Daniels, and I like appreciate him so much more after listening to his memoir. And I think that if you have the opportunity to listen to it, that's like really the way to go. It just makes it so much more enjoyable. Next, the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. And I think I have to go with like the entirety of the Iron Fae series by Julie Kagawa. This is the Fairy Loot edition. I showed these in my last book haul. I keep like turning it because the pages are just so pretty, but I just think that these editions are like stunning. There's even like artwork underneath the dust jacket. The end papers are pretty. I just like, these were so well done. Question 13 is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? So obviously there are like so many for this, but I'm just going to tell you like my top 2. So first is The Stationery Shop by Marjane Kamali. I've been really looking forward to reading this one. I went to a book event where she spoke and she was like amazing. So I really can't wait to read this. I'm thinking that I'm probably going to read it over the summer. And then the other one is still Ninth House. Like, I swear I'm not going to let this whole year go by without reading Ninth House. I've kind of been saving it now for the fall, and I probably said that last year too, but like it's happening this year. There's just no way that I'm not reading it. Like, I'm reading this. Question 14 is favorite video or post that you've made this year. So for my favorite video, I think it is one of the first videos that I published when I came back to BookTube, and that was things I've learned on my BookTube break. I like finally learned my lesson, and all of those things have like actually stuck with me. And I've been so good this year. Like, I barely request any books, even when people are like, can we send this to you? I'm like, nope. Like, I haven't been putting any pressure on myself with reading. I've also been prioritizing family and friends, which should seem like a given, but like I don't feel guilty at all about doing that, which is great. And then for favorite post, so I've actually been blogging again on my website, which is merrilykristen.com. I've been posting more like lifestyle stuff and more like just like kind of recapping the things that Andrew and I do around New York City or on Long Island or in New Jersey, and that has been so fun for me. And it's kind of like almost been like an online like diary where I can like publish all of like the really great memories that I've been making lately, and it's just been really nice. Like, I really enjoy doing it. So that the whole website is my favorite post. Number 15 is favorite book community members. So I obviously have a lot of these too. I have to obviously mention 3 of my best friends: Alexa from Alexa Loves Books, Rachel from Hello Chelly, and DJ from Life and Fiction. All of them are like some of the nicest book people that you will ever meet in your entire life. They are A+ people, and I highly recommend following them if you don't already. Alexa and her husband Mackie are on YouTube. DJ Life and Fiction is on Instagram, and Rachel Hello Chelly is on Instagram and also does a lot of book blogging. And then people that I feel like I personally watch the most are Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany. I think that she is such a well-rounded reader. I really love her videos. She's like very informative, and she just like reads so much that I feel like I end up learning a lot or like finding out about new things from her, or things that like I didn't even know were going on, like weren't on my radar, and she's just like on top of everything. I also really like Mara from Books Like Whoa, who is actually like really good friends with Bethany. I think her videos are the same, like really great, really informative, and she's again someone that reads like a ton. Who else? I'm trying to think like whose videos I click on like right away when they come up. I feel like I've actually been watching like a lot of non-BookTube YouTube videos lately, so those are really like the top ones, like the videos that I really like am excited when I see them in my feed. I'm probably like forgetting somebody very obvious, and I'll feel horrible when I edit this and realize that I didn't include them. So if I think of anyone else like while I'm editing, I'll just put them down below. Those are the ones that I wanted to mention here. So that's it. That's all that I have for this video. Those were all of the tag questions. Let me know any of your answers to the questions. I think some of the most fun ones that I would want to hear are your biggest disappointments and your biggest surprises. But that's all that I have for this video, and I will see you guys soon in a new one. Bye!